Hello everyone, Laura K. Buzz here with an unplanned, unexpected, unscripted accessibility episode for you. The official reveal direct for the Switch 2 happened yesterday, and I didn't think this would be the case, but I have accessibility stuff worth talking about. And not stuff that's specific to Nintendo of America, which is usually the case, but stuff that seems to be from, the big capital N Nintendo over in Japan. So we got a couple of little things during the Nintendo Direct itself. We got confirmation that you can use either Joy-Con, turn it on its side and use it like a mouse, which is interesting. Check out the video I did earlier this week about having produced a 3D printed peripheral to make that a little more comfortable to hold. If you're going to find something thin and narrow in your hand uncomfortable. But this is the big one, is after the Nintendo Direct, basically, straight after it, Nintendo published a new accessibility settings page on the official Nintendo website, all about the Switch 2, which confirms some new features and confirms some returning features from the Switch 1. But also, I think, almost more importantly, is a really, really important sign that Nintendo is aware that accessibility is important. It's important to talk about it in advance of something's release, and that like marketing and messaging and having a dedicated way to find out this information is actually important. It's one of the most forward-thinking, proactive steps we've seen from Nintendo on acknowledging accessibility as a dedicated thing in advance of release, I think, ever, or at least in the time I've been covering video games professionally. So let's have a look at this page. So what have we got? The Nintendo Switch 2 system's accessibility settings include a variety of options to support different types of players and individual needs. Find these options within the accessibility section of system settings on the home menu, dedicated accessibility menu. Lovely. So, we've got text options. You can choose between 3 different options for text size as well as enable bold text. And we've got videos, which is very appreciated. If you change the size, you can see it change in the menus, which is really nice. Maximum size, good deal chunkier. Do we get to see a preview of the bold text as well? Yes, we do. Lovely. Button remapping. You can change the button mapping on each controller to your liking, save your favorite settings, use them anytime. You can also choose to add button mappings as an option in quick settings, hold the home menu. Nice that there's a quick, easy way to get to this without navigating through other menus. Display colors. You can change the system colors to grayscale, inverted, or no change. You can also enable high contrast to increase the screen contrast for the home menu or system settings. I want to see high contrast specifically. Just slightly increased contrast. Nice. Screen zoom. This was a feature on the original Switch. You can turn this feature on so that you can double tap the home button to enlarge the screen region displayed. You can do mono audio as a system level setting, which is really cool to see offered. There was an implication in the Direct itself, and I've not seen it mentioned here, of being able to tweak your bass, treble, and mid audio balance on a system level, which, if accurate, very interesting. Want to see confirmation of that. Text to speech. This feature reads out on-screen text in the home menu and system settings. In addition to on-screen text, it reads out information that assists with operations, such as the cursor's position. You can also set different voice types, reading speeds, and volume levels. This is great. Particularly, the ability to increase text-to-speech speed is really important, because a lot of people who rely on text-to-speech learn to listen to it way faster than, like, the default. Someone who doesn't rely on it would probably set it to a way lower speed than people who actually use it. Let's look at an example. Do we have audio?
Text to speech. Use text to speech. On. Toggle button. Vertical list. 9 of 11. Reads out text content that appears on screen. Pressing one of the control sticks will restart the readout. Not all screens support screen reader functionality.
Heck yeah! And then we've got one last little section to it. Game chat, which is their new, essentially, like, little Discord function for chatting with friends on your friends list. You've got the options for speech to text. You can have other members of the chat room have their spoken dialogue displayed as text. And this was briefly shown in the Direct as, like, a little speech bubble above a character's head, which was really cool. Or text to speech. You can send text entered on a keyboard, such as, like, type on your phone or something, and have it converted to audio for other game chat members. So if not being able to hear or not being able to see are, very clearly are barriers to communication. You can communicate across those barriers, and that's really cool. I wanted to highlight this just because it's so rare to see Nintendo directly acknowledge accessibility at all, let alone this proactively before the launch of a system. When you pair this with Nintendo of America recently joining the program for creating accessibility store tags with sort of standardized meanings and requirements, it really does feel like maybe we're on the precipice of a new era of Nintendo taking accessibility a bit more seriously, which would be really wonderful given they have historically been kind of a little lagging behind their competition in the console space. I would love to see the Switch 2 launch, for example, with accessibility store tags on their digital store. I think that that's a very real possibility now that Nintendo of America has signed on to this accessible store tagging initiative. Also, and I'm gonna throw this in here just because I'm looking for any excuse I can to talk about it, Nintendo also showed off a cool multiplayer online wheelchair basketball game. So yeah, this is the game. It's called Drag X Drive. It's using the Wiimotes as the Joy-Cons as mice to mimic pushing the wheels on a wheelchair. So you're pushing one, pushing the other, doing them in counter directions to turn. All of your motions are emulating wheelchair wheel pushing, or lifting the ball, throwing it, waving to another player. It's all, you're doing your throws with motion, and you're using the mice to emulate like the mechanics of moving a wheelchair, and I think that's really awesome. Both in terms of like, it's cool to see in terms of representation, getting to see a wheelchair basketball video game from a company like Nintendo, but it's also just really neat in terms of like, oh, you recognize that your new control scheme was really well suited to emulating a real life experience of a sport played by disabled people, and went, hell yeah, first party Nintendo game about sport that has a lot of disabled players. That's really, again, way more forward thinking and acknowledging of disabled people than I expect out of Nintendo. This is not the Nintendo I've come to expect over the last 8 years or so of the Switch generation, and I think that's pretty rad. So yeah, weirdly pleasantly surprised today to see this stuff out of Nintendo, and I just wanted to make a quick, sub 10-minute video to go, this is really rad. I'm glad I get to say something positive and excited about Nintendo, and that I get to feel optimistic about them. Maybe this will be the generation where I can start getting some review coverage of Nintendo stuff on accessibility. It'd be very nice to have positive things I could say about Nintendo games this gen. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching this impromptu little video. Bye.